Rocket League Championship Series. I was probably on camera for hundreds of hours with a suit on in front of hundreds of thousands of people each time, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. It's now second nature to me.
Yeah.
I can do it. It's fine. Put me on stage in front of an audience. I can do a good job. I could present anything you probably want to. And at the end of the day, it's just practice, just time, just hours. Started with me on the camera at my computer. It went from there to being live in a studio and just acknowledging a camera with a nice camera presence, interacting with the audience properly, so on and so forth, and then extend that into a live audience atmosphere, whether you have a smaller group to a whole stadium that's full, which I've done.
So that's really kind of curious for me. And I'll have to touch back on the stadium. That's something I'm going to hold into my mind. But when you're working on that craft, you go and you do a show, Reddit rips you apart, or loves you, either one. How do you kind of take that feedback and use that on yourself? How do you use that loop to improve? Because like there's something about hours, and gaming is the same thing, that you could totally practice 1,000 hours and not get anywhere if you don't know like how to get better at it. So how do you signal to yourself something to improve?
I feel like you need to have standards for yourself.
Ooh.
And that can be hard to do on your own. So maybe you have others help you create those standards for yourself. I think with the environment that we are in, with the internet and with all the voices that are on the internet, it is one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, occupations to try to be a personality or to try to do anything on the internet that's in front of other people, because there's anonymity. There's nothing to stop anyone from saying anything they want at any time. And if you're on camera or if you're on the microphone, you're going to subject yourself to that. There's no other way, unless you put up a video and you block all the comments. Good luck with that. So yeah, dude, it's a great question, and unfortunately, we've seen a lot of scary things happen with people with audiences, and then succumbing to whatever is happening there, and then psychologically they can't handle it, or they succumb to negativity from their audiences and things like that. And that's a whole textbook of modern culture that is going to be studied and that we're all experiencing right now. And definitely, dude, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever experience. And I don't know if you have in particular like gotten the flack from the internet. Yeah, but anyone who wouldn't understand it or wouldn't consider it, it is one of the hardest things that you could ever do.
It's one of the things I was going to mention. Is for me, I've always had this trepidation about being on camera, even though I think I have a pretty good presence. But I've always had this trepidation because I have the factor of being black. That Twitch chat in the past, I don't know, I feel like it maybe a little bit better now. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's always had a really, elemental element of just targeting at what's this black guy doing here? And if you take a look at Twitch chat while you're trying to do something live and see stuff like that, it took me a while to get over the being knocked off my game. You have to be a psychological warrior. Like, the thing is, psychologically, this is something that humans have not had to endure. Oh, Jesus.
If you think historically, the most public pressure you're going to get is if you're leading your city or something and you have to talk on some council and you have to speak to the Senate or you have to speak to the people or something or other. Then you start feeling those pressures from others, and psychologically you have to deal with it. Well, now with the internet, here we are, your audience is potentially massive, and psychologically you're not equipped to really deal with that. And that is an honest truth, and that is something that anyone who is ever trying to be a personality will have to deal with one way or another. There gets to a threshold where you're gonna feel the pressure psychologically, and either you're gonna deal with it, or it's gonna be hard, or it's gonna be a struggle. And for me, it was a struggle, no doubt about it. Absolutely, one of the biggest struggles for me is kind of dealing with that when you first get onto the scene. But there's a lot of fundamental things that you really have to. You have to be just healthy psychologically. Like, first of all, everyone should like see someone, right, weekly, talking to a professional, something or other. Like, there's a whole 100%. Just fundamental psychological health. The psyche of the average human is such a thing in society that really needs to be embraced, and that in and of itself is so important. And you need to have that if you're going to try to be on camera in front of other people, and you're going to have to read opinions, and you're going to have to get feedback. You need to be solid psychologically. You need to be a beast. You have to have like the happiest thoughts in your mind that you're ready to think about if you're feeling upset. Sometimes there are long hours, so that ties into it. If you're having a super long day and then that you're having to deal with all that like negative energy or what have you, you have to have your strategies to stay who you are what's up? I'm Axeltoss. I'm smiling. I'm happy about the show here. We're gonna have a great time, and it just has to be an anchor. Everyone has to have their own anchor in a way to really hold on to that. Obviously, there's strategies. Don't read the comments. Don't read the blah blah blah. That's valid. For me, I'm a part of the community, so it's kind of weird for me to separate that too much because I'm going to be the guy at the end of the day who's going to be on Reddit talking with people because that's just what I do. Like that's just what I've always done. Reading, I enjoy reading, and so to stop myself from doing that because I might read something bad about me, it's really not going to happen. So instead, I kind of came up with a different strategy, and everyone has their own strategy. Mine is like, first of all, let me make sure I'm psychologically good for myself. Let me make sure I have that anchor, whatever that involves, that everything in my life is sound and I'm in a good place. Let me make sure that's there. Then when you go on the internet and you have to put on your armor, you have to get ready to face the crowds. You kind of have to decide if you want to tune into that while you're doing what you do. I wouldn't necessarily do that, but also in the way that I host, that's kind of a part of what I do. I'll read the chat sometimes. I'll call something out that someone said. It adds to the show. That's something we can do these days with the internet. At the same time, do you read comments after you do what you've done? Do you read and respond during? Do you read and respond after? And kind of what I've done is I'll read everything. Just reading through threads and stuff, I'll see stuff about myself. And if someone says something mean or not nice, it's a public forum, right? It is also my right to speak, and I will, and I do. But instead of saying something not nice, I'll say something nice. I'll engage them with conversation and be like, "Oh, wow, I actually didn't see it that way. Thank you for providing that feedback. I'll work on that." Or I'll just be super positive or like overly kind.
You are really you. I was gonna bring.
Yeah,
this up.
I'll do it, dude.
You're really kind. You're like
the thing is, what makes it fulfilling is I'll do that and I'll be overly kind, and like nine times out of ten, they'll be like, "Oh wow, I didn't think you read this stuff. I'm sorry, dude. You're pretty cool." And that's pretty fulfilling. And then not only that, you're kind of taking a small step that might blossom into something a little bit more positive. Because maybe that guy won't go make a mean statement the next time, or maybe he'll have a nice memory of you now and he'll tell his friend that you were nice to him, so on and so forth. So like